Rod, I want to get to Turn the Page Tuesday now. It's these teams that have maybe had a bad week one, maybe a bad week 1 and 2 that just have to flip that page. Going to start with a quarterback who had a bad draw. It's a bad draw for a rookie quarterback having to go play Bill Belichick, the ghost that he is able to create for these rookie quarterbacks, Jets rookie quarterbacks we've seen before as well, and Zach Wilson. How does Belichick do this? How does he create those ghosts in their minds?
First, I got to say, man, Zach, you get a pass, all right? You're going against a great one, and Bill Belichick is great at going at rookie quarterbacks. We get it. Like we talked about on Sunday, a lot of disguise, a lot of man-to-man coverage, a lot of movement by the safeties and the linebackers and the corners, just never giving him an opportunity to get to the line of scrimmage and get comfortable. You know, when he comes to the line of scrimmage, you don't know when you see safeties and linebackers moving around if it's going to be man coverage, if it's going to be zone, if it's going to be pressure. You just don't know, and the Patriots do a great job of it. But the one thing that I did see, and you see this very often, these rookies, they're top picks for a reason because they're extremely confident. And they bring that same confidence with them playing against other teams in the National Football League. However, this ain't college. And the speed is totally different. And you saw Zach Wilson dropping back trying to make plays that you can make in college, but you can't make in the National Football League. These are the best defenders on the planet. And you think you can, between 3 defenders of the New England Patriots, it's not going to happen. And you see him, instead of just throwing the ball away, he tries to fit it in there between another 2 people, him dropping back, pressure in his face, and he just lets it go, and it's just another easy pick time and time again. He has to get back to doing the simple things, and then the Jets have to do a better job of allowing him to run the football and to check it down. Everything can't be deep, and if you saw a lot of those interceptions, they were down the field throws.
I mean, he looked dazed and confused right there. I mean, dazed and confused. Those are some of the ugliest interceptions that you'll see in an NFL game. I mean, he's thrown it 4 separate occasions directly to a New England Patriot. I mean, ugly, ugly interceptions. So I want to ask you this. Like you mentioned to me on Sunday, you used to do this to Tom Brady as well, these same things that they're doing to Zach Wilson. What do you think Wilson's seeing as he's walking up to he's stepping up there in the shotgun, maybe he's under center, as he's looking at the Patriots defense? What specifically are you guys trying to make him think it's cover 2? It's really cover 3. Like, what specifically is he seeing, and why does he look like he's never played quarterback before?
You know what? I don't know specifically what he's watching because a lot of quarterbacks are different. Some quarterbacks like Tom, what Tom does is he walks right up to the line of scrimmage and he looks at the middle linebacker, the Mike linebacker, and he looks at the 2 safeties. Then once he looks at the 2 safeties, now Tom is scanning the field. He's watching everything. He's watching how deep you are. He's watching your feet. He's watching how anxious you are. He's looking at the forearms of the defensive linemen, seeing if you're going to drop, if you're going to rush. Tom sees freaking everything, and that's what he's watching. And a lot of rookie quarterbacks, they're coming to the line of scrimmage. They're saying, okay, I don't know what coverage they're in. They're nervous. I'm just going to try to really focus on my reads and just look at my number 1. If he's not there, then I'll go to my number 2. But a lot of times, about time that happens, now the rush is in your face, you're throwing it up, and now it's getting picked off. So these young guys, they can't process information like a veteran like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes, and things like that because they just haven't seen enough of these defenses yet.
I could listen to you talk defensive football all day, man. That's so awesome. It's like just the way that you can describe the disguising and all that stuff. I mean, you'd be a hell of a defensive coordinator.
It's so much fun to do.
I've never told you that before. It's so awesome to listen to you talk. Okay, let's get to Burrow, right? Joe Burrow is another quarterback ready to turn the page a little bit with the Bengals, struggles, interceptions. If you watch the 4th quarter, I mean, it just fell completely off the rails for the Bengals, for Burrow. Where did all of this come from? How much of it's on Joe, the offensive line? What were the Bengals' struggles on Sunday?
Well, I mean, I just think that, we talked about it and we said we saw the Bengals and we saw the offensive line firing on and things like that. But a lot of times when you have success early and you have who was the kid, the Chase, what's his name? Jamar Chase. I'm sorry.
The rookie receiver you're talking about? Jamar Chase. Yeah.
Yeah, you have Jamar Chase, you have Tyler Boyd, you have all these weapons. Now the offensive coordinator, he thinks you could just drop back and just sling the ball around. But you also have Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is a quality back, okay? A lot of people don't talk about Joe Mixon because he plays for the Bengals. They don't give him respect. But if you know football and you watch football, Joe Mixon is that dude. He's a stud. They have to feed him more. You can't just drop back because you have a talented young quarterback, because you know the defenses and these defensive coordinators getting $2-3 million to design defenses to frustrate and to confuse those rookie quarterbacks. So to me, I would say to most of these head coaches, these offensive coordinators, back down a little bit, run the football, give him some quick hitting things that allow him to get his confidence back, and not everything has to be down the field.
So I saw a couple of things in this Bengals game, and I'm from Cincinnati. I live in Cincinnati. The Bengals have ripped my heart out, stomped on the ground multiple times. Listen, man, I grew up a Bengals fan, right? I'm just going to call it what it is. And here's what I saw yesterday. A lot of it was not on Burrow. The offensive line was struggling. The Bears were doing a whole bunch of these sweeping slants with their defensive line, and the Bengals have kind of patched together and put Band-Aids on this offensive line, and they were tricking them with them. And Burrow's getting hit in the ear when he thinks he still had time on multiple occasions. The other thing I saw was these young wide receivers are going to be awesome, and at moments they are awesome. Jamar Chase was really screwing them on multiple occasions in this game. They brought him in one time on a 3rd and short to block Eddie Jackson. He let Eddie Jackson run right by him, blow up the play in the backfield. There's another occasion. They're going to throw a screen out there to Jamar Chase. Everything's set up. All the linemen are going over there. It's wide open. Burrow looks at him. He's looking to drop it off to him, and Jamar Chase is running down the field with no clue what he's doing. And then Burrow's getting drilled by Khalil Mack. So these young wide receivers made a bunch of mistakes. If you go look at even T. Higgins dropping the football, he had the one, he catches it across the middle and just fumbles it. Even 83, what the heck is his name? Tyler Boyd. He had ran a couple of routes and he's just drifting back, and it winds up being an interception. So I thought the young receivers on the road for the Bengals really struggled in this game, as with the offensive line, and it put Burrow in some really bad spots.
So it takes the head coach, Zach Taylor, to reel everything in. And it just shows his inexperience, too, as the head guy, not kind of just dialing these guys back. You know, if you know your quarterback is struggling and you know these young wide receivers are struggling, like I talked about before, run the football. Now you can probably use play action pass. The Bears are tough, man. They got an outstanding front. They got some really great linebackers. Secondary is kind of shaky right now, but it's just one of those things that's going to take time. But I still like what Cincinnati's doing. I like the energy that they play with. They have a lot of young talent, and I think they're going to be pretty good. And that kid Bates on the defensive side, Jesse Bates, he is a stud. If they don't pay him, they need to pay that man. I know Cincinnati, they have a history, and you know this more than me, of not wanting to pay somebody. Pay that guy. Jesse Bates is a stud at safety.
They don't love paying people here in Cincinnati, but he does deserve it. He does deserve it. The other thing the Bengals were dealing with is that the Bears just got whooped by the Rams. They're coming home for their home opener after getting whooped in week 1, and that usually is a recipe knowing that team's going to come in looking for a fight, and the Bears were looking for a fight. Bengals were riding high after a week 1 win, and then boom, all that stuff happens. Let's get to the Rams, though. Kenny Young of the Rams. He had a job to do. He did his job this week. What did you see from Kenny Young making some mistakes out there with LA?
I just saw frustration with Kenny Young. I mean, you're right now, you have a goal line stand. You're stopping the Colts, one of the best offensive lines in all of football, and you can't get up and get frustrated and yell and scream and bump an official. You can't do that. It hurts the team. It hurts you. You're a starter. You're a guy that they depend on. And I understand you're frustrated, but at the end of the day, look at them. Look at number 79. They're all celebrating. They're saying, you're a starter. Get the heck out of here. Aaron Donald even tries to pull him to the side and talk to him. Like, Aaron Donald's the best player on the planet, and he's telling you, guy, keep your composure. We don't need that. Kenny Young made it all about himself. And you, as a defender, as a guy in that situation, a leader on that team, you can't do that. You have to keep your composure, and you can't cost your team.
How do you sort of channel, because you got to be a little crazy to go play football and play goal line football, and you got to be playing a little angry, a little mad, having that attitude about you. How do you have that edge and also have the composure? Was that something you had to learn over your career too? Like, how do you find that balance, and then how do you lead guys and make sure they find the balance too?
It's called being a professional. That's what it's called. When you're a pro and you're a grown man, you know what to do because he's getting paid millions of dollars to play linebacker in the National Football League, make tackles, and you know the difference between right and wrong. When you bump an official, they tell you that even when you're in Pee-wee. You can't touch an official. So when you're getting in an official's face and he's just an innocent bystander sitting there, you may not like the call, whether you like it or not. That doesn't even matter. The fact is that you disrespected the official. You're yelling, cussing, screaming in his face, and you actually bump him. That's what hurts the team. So you just have to be a pro and understand that, yeah, you're a big part of the team, but it's not about you. And when it's not about you, you just play your role and do your job. And when you do that, you're fine. But when you don't do that, then you get kicked out of the game and you hurt your team.
Yeah, it's true. They're lucky that this didn't cost them the game, really, if you think about it. Think about the whole scope of that game. They're lucky to be able to fight back and figure out a way to win this thing. And the NFL in general, they're just not going to allow any of this anymore. I think more than anything, what they're trying to do is project a perfect brand of football, if you will, onto the younger generations. They don't want the taunting anymore. They don't want any conversations after the whistle. I personally disagree a little bit. I mean, there's some things, the Kenny Young thing, too far, I got that. But there's some moments, where guys are just, it's so aggressive and such a fast-paced, crazy game that if they have a little words with each other, like right after a whistle, as long as it stays within the lines, I have no problem with that. I think some of these taunting calls are going way off the rails. Kenny Young's a different scenario. I got that. But what are your thoughts on these taunting calls? Because we saw a lot of them through the first couple of weeks here.
You just don't know. You don't know what you're hearing. Like, we're watching the game, whether we're there or whether we're watching on television, like, you don't know what they're saying because they could be like, MF and yelling and screaming and cussing, and you don't know. I mean, like, they're showing emotion and they're kind of demonstrative, but you don't know the words that are coming out of their mouth, and the officials hear that. If you're dropping cuss words and stuff like that, they're going to throw a flag at you. And if you happen to just brush, and officials do, let me tell you something. I played 15 years, and I was involved in a lot of skirmishes, okay? And the officials have always done a really good job of kind of letting it play out, not penalizing people because they have a feel. Those guys know these guys are getting paid a lot of money. It's a lot of pressure on them. So the officials do a really good job. But in that case with Kenny Young, you could just tell with all the emotion that he was showing that it wasn't like it was Hallmark cards coming out of his mouth. He was going off. And when you touch the official, that's a no-no. He deserved to get kicked out of the game.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.